Lena stood motionless, fingers grazing the frayed edge of a cardboard box, her corporate identity reduced to 3 staplers, an orchid, and a mug that read Strategic Queen. Her world, once governed by slides and sales curves, now echoed with the sound of silence. She turned, exhaled, and walked out, not defeated, but stripped raw. Tessa carved the roast chicken with practiced hands, the knife's rhythm masking the questions in her mind. Across the table, her husband chuckled quietly at a screen he angled away. Something unspoken sat between them, thicker than the steam rising from the rice. She offered him a smile, half kind, half afraid. In the chaos of the city, Maya found silence in the shudder. Fragments of others' lives froze beneath her lens, echoing the moments she never dared live. She adjusted the focus, not just on her camera, but on a life that constantly demanded clarity she wasn't sure she had. Their laughter rose and fell like waves, but beneath the surface, each heart bore weight. Lena's recent silence, Tessa's eyes darting to missed calls, Maya's smile, too sharp, too brief. The city shimmered behind them, uncaring. They clinked glasses anyway, choosing each other against the tides of unraveling. "I hope you live your life with less fear than I did," the letter said. Her father's looping script danced on yellowing paper, each word a heartbeat from the past. Lena hadn't cried at his funeral. She did now, not for his absence, but for the truths they never said aloud. The room smelled of lavender and lies. Tessa reached out, not to hold her husband, but to touch the silence he left behind. The name, Clara, flashed again. Her heartbeat stumbled. She rolled over, her back to him, wrapped in doubt and cotton sheets. Opportunity doesn't knock. It leans in over cappuccino foam and whispers, "Are you ready?" Maya swallowed the answer behind a practiced smile. London. The word echoed like a dare. She had chased perfect light across alleyways and rooftops, but this would change everything. The space was nothing, bare floors, flickering lights, yet it pulsed with promise. Lena pressed her palm against the cool glass. She imagined canvases, coffee-stained laughter, beginnings. In a world obsessed with certainty, she was about to choose risk. Her son's anger didn't need words. It arrived in slammed doors, muttered curses, and the space between "I'm fine" and "you don't get it." Tessa watched him walk away, heart torn between discipline and desperation. Her mother once braided her hair before school. Now Maya's hands returned to ritual, slow, reverent, necessary. Each strand carried a memory, each rinse a prayer. She didn't tell her mother about London. Some truths waited in water. In that attic, colors mattered more than grades. Her father called her Little Flame. She had forgotten that name, buried it beneath boardrooms and spreadsheets. But here, in memory's hush, it flickered once more. The cursor blinked like a ticking clock. "Confirm?" it asked. Maya's fingers hovered, stilled. Her heart was split. One half craved flight, the other clung to roots. Somewhere in between sat her truth, quietly waiting to be chosen. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She simply stood there as the air turned electric with accusation. Her husband opened his mouth to lie, but stopped, because there, in her eyes, lived a truth he could never outtalk. The startup dream needed fuel, money she didn't have. The bank was polite, clinical. Lena hung up slowly, watching her reflection in the glass. How much of herself was she willing to mortgage for one shot at freedom? Her mother had once told her, "You were born to fly." But now, tethered by illness and guilt, Maya felt clipped. She watched the woman who raised her rest and wondered if becoming someone else meant abandoning who she was. "You were the best we had," he said, sipping whiskey. But Lena knew what that meant. More overtime, more games. She smiled, remembering her father's letter. She didn't want to be the best anymore. She wanted to be herself. She left before the arguments became irreversible. No drama, no scene, just her, a suitcase, and the quiet hope that she'd find herself outside the walls that used to keep her safe. Color returned like breath. Crimson and ochre bled into canvas, messy and unapologetic. Each stroke erased 10 years of meetings, of numb mornings, of silent resentment. She didn't know what she was painting, only that it was finally hers. Deadlines didn't care about dying mothers. Dreams didn't wait for the right time. She hated that. Hated that success meant leaving. Hated that staying meant losing. The train passed. She stayed. Still. The word felt like a costume now. Tessa sat cross-legged on a faded quilt, rewriting not just a resume, but a self. Her finger hovered over send. She wasn't sure who would read it. She only knew it was hers. This wasn't just property. It was possibility. The lease came with peeling walls, uneven floors, and a hope she hadn't dared admit out loud. She signed with a hand that finally shook. Not with fear, but with joy. He said he was sorry. But what did that change? Tessa looked at the envelope like it might catch fire. Maybe it held truth or excuses. Either way, it stayed unopened. Some chapters aren't read, they're closed. There was wine, low jazz, imperfect lighting, but also joy and art and applause. For the first time in years, Lena wasn't behind a brand. She was the name on the wall, and it fit her perfectly. Freedom and guilt often arrived together. Maya stood at the gate, heart thudding. One hand held the future, the other reached for the past, and both refused to let go. The hallway was too quiet, the kind that screamed. Her mother's chart sat beside a wilted orchid. Maya had her camera, her dreams, her ticket. But she also had roots here, fragile and full of ache. Leaving didn't mean she didn't care. Staying didn't mean she stopped dreaming, so she stayed, for now. The canvas smelled of dust and legacy. His brushstrokes, halfway done, were a whisper from beyond. She didn't just complete his painting, she answered it. With her own hands, her own colors, her own voice. Her mother left quietly, just like she lived. No drama, no grand speeches, only warmth, and Maya's whispered, "I'll be okay." She meant it. Not today, not tomorrow, but one day. She never imagined she'd be mentoring anyone, but there it was, her voice steady, her advice landing like lifeboats in someone else's storm. She was no longer someone's wife. She was someone's guide, herself included. It wasn't rebellion, it was remembrance of her mother, of dreams deferred, of paths not taken. The iris, grief, rebirth, clarity. It wasn't loud, but it was forever. What began as an abandoned storefront was now a pulse in the city's heart. Strangers admired her soul in color. Her friends cheered, and for the first time in a long time, she believed she belonged. Grief didn't cancel dreams, it paused them. The offer came back, like spring after frost. This time she didn't hesitate, she clicked accept. For her, for her mother, for what comes next. They said nothing for a long time, just the sound of waves, 3 sets of footsteps, and a peace earned through pain. They weren't healed, but they were whole, and together. She didn't cry, she didn't smile, she simply signed. For space, for clarity, for herself. This wasn't failure, it was a beginning with her name on it. This time, her camera stayed in the bag. She chose to live the moment, not frame it. She blew them a kiss and stepped into the future. Brave, heavy-hearted, free. Lena wrote to her father, Maya to her mother, Tessa to the woman she used to be. They all wrote the same thing, in different words. I'm still here, and I'm finally me. Life didn't demand perfection. It asked for presence, for choice, for courage. In the frames they had chosen, in the portraits they lived, there they were. Not finished, just alive. Let me know if you'd like this, formatted for printing, performance, or captioning.
If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more fun and meaningful tales, don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Wonder Tales. Hit the bell icon so you never miss a new story.